Well, it's time now to take a look at how the papers are discussing Joe Biden's victory. Solange Moujar is with us in the studio for a special weekend press review. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Hack.
Nice to see you on a Sunday.
Nice to be here.
Solange, how is the American press covering this momentous day?
Well, essentially across the board, they are ringing the victory bell. Biden beats Trump. That is literally the headline across nearly every paper in the U.S. today. But beyond that, what's interesting is to see how the papers are highlighting different issues. Now, the Washington Post takes a somewhat factual tone. It calls attention to, quote, the rebuilding of the blue wall or the flipping of states like Michigan and Wisconsin, as well as Trump's legal challenges to the vote count. Now, for the New York Times, they draw attention with the subheader about Kamala Harris's breaking of the glass ceiling, of becoming the first female president and minority vice president. And you can sort of sense in the paper's articles that there's a sigh of relief coming from the New York Times. Now, for the Philadelphia Inquirer, it is all about their hometown boy, the state's quote-unquote native son, as they call Biden, because, again, he was born in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
And there is, I think it's fair to say, some outright jubilation coming from the opinion pages.
Yeah, there's a lot of happiness, and there's also quite a lot of teasing going on. The Boston Globe, in one editorialist wrote, quote, "Mr. President, you're fired," making reference here to Trump's previous life as a TV reality star on The Apprentice, where he became famous for saying, "You're fired," to the contestants. Another opinion piece from the editorial board of the Globe says that a darkness has lifted with Biden's win, that it is a victory, quote, for a better version of America and one that still needs to be realized. Now, the Times editorial board takes essentially the same tone, saying, quote, "Having peered into the abyss of autocratic nationalism, the American people have chosen to step back from the brink," end quote.
And Solange, let's of course not forget that over 70 million people voted for Trump. This is a divided nation. How is the conservative press covering Trump's loss? Are they calling for him to continue contesting the result of this election, or are they saying that really he should just leave the White House and accept the result?
Well, the fact that Trump is contesting the election, it's actually mounting legal challenges. This is actually coming in second place, even in the conservative press. You can see that on the cover of the conservative Rupert Murdoch-owned New York Post. And it says, "It's Joe's time," noting the record-breaking, as you said, outpouring of voters in this election. And the paper says that America has given her verdict. A hint here, perhaps, to Trump that it's time to concede, and one that's even more clearly put in the Wall Street Journal. The paper says that Trump has a right to contest, but he has to provide legal evidence of voter fraud, and whoever wins the legal fights needs to concede, noting that perhaps it is inevitable that Trump's re-election campaign would end like this, quote, "him claiming victory and frenzied antagonists denouncing him as a fascist," end quote. Now, the paper says that Trump hates to lose and will fight to the end. But they also argue that perhaps he would have done better to sort of focus on his having helped Republican senators keep their seats, and as well to leave the office with dignity, they say.
Well, cartoonists have no doubt been preparing for this day for a very long time. Solange, what have they come up with?
Yeah, you can tell that they are having a lot of fun with this announcement. Let's start with Peter Schrank. He's drawn the baby Dawn balloon, which you may remember. It was often at anti-Trump rallies, especially the climate ones.
And he famously didn't enjoy it at all, did he?
No, he did not like it at all. Well, here you have Joe Biden popping that baby balloon. He's holding a pin there to Trump's "I won." Now, this baby theme is actually coming up quite a bit. Let's go with Chris Riddle. You have a baby Trump being told off by a rather disheveled and angry lady of democracy. And she says, "No, it is Trump that is fired. No, you're fired," she says. Then you have Cal of the Baltimore Sun. He's there. You have Biden pouring water on Trump's witch hunt claims, literally melting the president down as the president has a meltdown about losing. So there is also, let's move now on to the German press. There's a great matchup of covers, illustrations coming from Der Spiegel, the German weekly. In 2017, actually, they had a controversial cover, which you see there, of Trump cutting off Lady Liberty's head with the headline, America First. Now, that Statue of Liberty has been saved, according to Der Spiegel. And in this week's issue, you have Joe Biden making America great again. Yes, that is the slogan of Donald Trump's. It is also on the cover of Der Spiegel this week. And you have Donald Trump putting Lady Liberty's head back on and saving the immigration policies of America. And finally, a cartoon by Ann Telnies of The Washington Post. And you have Kamala Harris hitting that glass ceiling that remained unbroken in the last election, much to many women's and many Democrats' despair. And finally, it says that a woman can be vice president and perhaps one day president. So the cartoonists here are really showing that for many Democrats is a movement of hope, of relief, and an ending of divisions, potentially ending of divisions in America, or at least moving towards that end of divisions.
Okay, Solange Mougin with that look through the day's press, exceptionally today on a Sunday. Thank you very much indeed for joining us here to look through the international papers.